Today on Public Eye News, in Wisconsin, 10 fake electors admitted to their part in a false plot to overturn the battleground state's decision in favor of Donald Trump, and later, the aftermath of the mass shooting that took place on the campus of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Austin Graham will have your sports update, and Bianca Kroll will have your weather forecast. I'm Melissa Santour.
And I'm Maren Parks, and this is Public Eye News. Yesterday in Madison, Wisconsin, a civil lawsuit concerning the 2020 presidential election was settled, with 10 Republicans who served as fake electors for former President Donald Trump revoking paperwork claiming that Trump had won the state. This case is one of several lawsuits concerning a larger, quote, fake election scheme, end quote, that allegedly originated in Wisconsin and spanned across 7 battleground states, including Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada, and which, in the words of the defendant's statement, sought to, quote, improperly overturn the 2020 election results, end quote. The initial lawsuit brought forward by Democrats last year sought $2.4 million in damages from the 10 defendants, but under the terms of the settlement, the fake electors will face no fines in exchange for their cooperation with further state and federal investigations, including the release of nearly 600 pages of documents related to their plans, along with being prohibited from serving as electors on any election with Trump on the ballot. And yesterday was a busy day for Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers as he went through signing and vetoing nearly 4 dozen bills. The most controversial of these bills is an update to the state's liquor laws, which has been hotly contested by the wedding barn industry and its supporters. Wedding barns, which are rural facilities that host events, typically weddings, on their properties, but aren't considered to be restaurants, bars, or taverns, have previously not been required to have a liquor license to operate. But this new law looks to change that. With this new law in place, wedding barns will be allowed to obtain a permit that would allow them to host either 6 events per year or 1 event per month, or get a full liquor license. Other bills passed include allowing police and fire stations, along with hospitals, to build drop-off boxes for unwanted newborns, and one to track reported sexual assaults within the state's National Guard.
Republican-controlled Wisconsin Senate Leader Devin LeMahieu claims that a resolution is near for the long-delayed pay raises for University of Wisconsin staff and funding for a new engineering building. However, a UW spokesperson contradicts this, stating that negotiations are ongoing. The funding block is linked to Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, who opposes UW spending on diversity programs. Vos demands a $32 million cut in DEI spending or relinquishing the university's authority over creating DEI positions. Democrats, including Governor Tony Evers, have criticized the withholding of approved raises, leading to a legal dispute. The disagreement reflects on a broader national debate over DEI initiatives in public institutions. And NMU will receive a $600,000 grant designed to provide services to disadvantaged students as part of Michigan's King Chavez Parks initiative. The 4S grant will provide the school with $100,000 annually over a 6-year cycle to be used for services supporting academically or economically disadvantaged students. The grant has been used in the past to provide funding to the NMU Food Pantry, provide free printing services, fund the Student Equity and Engagement Center, and fund marketing initiatives for NMU student services. The grant will this year also provide new training to student mentors to instead provide concierge-like services and direct their peers to facilities across campus. Open Lab Day 2023, hosted by the NMU Clinical Lab Sciences Department, was a huge success, exposing high schoolers from across the UP to potential found in the clinical lab testing industry. Public Eye News' own Bianca Kroll has more. Take a look.
High school students from across the UP recently visited NMU last week to experience the Clinical Laboratory Sciences program firsthand.
A certain degree of qualifiers they carry, but for the most part they just want you to get blood.
Department head Marty Rinaldi says it's a great way to inform potential students about a career field they may not have thought of before.
So when they come in, we want them to intermingle. We want them to see what we're doing. They want to see like how myself and other instructors are teaching it. We want them to get involved, not just sit back and look, but come on back and ask questions. Come in here and say, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? I'm very open when they come. I'm really excited when they come, and I really want them to mingle. He goes, wait, what? Because that's like gold. If you're a lab director, you find somebody that actually wants to be a phlebotomist on midnight shift, that's like striking gold. And he goes, why? And he goes, oh, I know why. He goes, because you're shy. You don't want. I said, yeah, I don't want this to stop me from doing this.
After enrolling in the program, students' initial education involves learning how to do blood draws and taking a blood specimen. Students were then able to watch Rinaldi himself have his blood drawn.
First of all, we teach about collecting blood samples. That's our first class that we're going to teach you. That's a little bit of a interesting class because there's a lot of trypanophobia, which is the fear of needles. and so we have to talk our kids off the ledge right then and there, but we have a very good way of teaching it. We've all been through the process before. It's not easy to get your blood drawn. It's certainly not easy to draw other people's blood, so we have a really good process and set the table for you to be able to be a very competent phlebotomist.
According to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, demand for lab technicians is expected to increase about 5% each year, with an annual wage of nearly $60,000. Reporting from Marquette for Public Eye News, I'm Bianca Kroll.
And don't touch that dial, because after this short break, we'll be back with your weather and national news. Stay tuned.
I'm Sherry Castle. I write cookbooks, I write for food magazines, I cook, I teach, and I collect stories. And my favorite stories are the ones behind our best-loved home recipes. I will go out and explore from the ground up a few of the best ingredients that go into some of our most beloved family recipes. It's all about the food, the flavors, and finding the key ingredient.
This afternoon at 4:30.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Bianca Kroll, and here's our weather forecast for today. And looking at the campus here, it's a little snowy out there, but we are hoping that with these warming up temperatures, we won't see much snow out there for long. And looking across the UP here, in Houghton, it is 43 and partly cloudy. In Ironwood, it is 43 and partly cloudy. In Iron Mountain, it is 41 and cloudy. In Menominee, 41 and partly cloudy. And looking over at the other side of the UP over here, in Escanaba, it is 39 and sunny. In Manistee, 41 and sunny. In Sault Ste. Marie, 37 and cloudy. And in Marquette here, 43 and partly cloudy. And looking at the current conditions here, the winds are south-southeast, 7 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure, 29.78 inches and falling. And looking at tonight's forecast, it is partly cloudy with a low of 32, and the winds south-southeast, 12 miles per hour. And looking at tomorrow's forecast, it's going to be partly cloudy with a high of 45, a low of 34, and the winds south, 15 miles per hour. And looking ahead here, Saturday is going to be a high of 39 and a low of 27 with some chance of rain. And Sunday, a high of 30, cloudy with a low of 21. And Monday, a high of 34, partly cloudy and a low of 26. That is all for the weather. Back to the desk for more news.
Thank you so much for that weather update. It's quite warm for a December here in the UP, but I digress. Now into our national news for the day. Yesterday in Nevada, 3 people were killed and a 4th was left in critical condition in a shooting at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, before the gunman was killed in a shootout with police. The suspect was identified by an anonymous officer as 67-year-old Anthony Polito, an ex-East Carolina University professor who prior to the shooting had been denied a teaching position at UNLV. The first shot was fired by Polito at around 11:45 a.m. on the 4th floor of the UNLV Business School. Polito then proceeded through several other floors and exited the building, where he encountered 2 university officers whom he engaged with in a shootout that resulted in his death. The shooting lasted for about 40 minutes, during which some students reported having heard as many as 20 shots fired, and the identities of the victims have not yet been released. And earlier today in Austin, Texas, a lawsuit concerning an exception to the state's abortion ban has been settled in favor of the plaintiff for the first time since the overturning of Roe v. Wade last year. Kate Cox, a 31-year-old from Dallas, Texas, and currently a mother of 2 children, asked for a medical exemption on the grounds that her fetus was diagnosed with trisomy 18, a fatal condition that would likely result in a stillbirth, a request that Texas Judge Maya Guerrera Gamble approved despite pressure from state officials to deny it. Cox, who is 12 weeks pregnant, has been to the emergency room for pregnancy-related complications 4 times during her term, the most recent of which was just this week. Additionally, doctors have told Cox that should the fetus's heart stop before birth, inducing labor would carry an increased risk of uterine rupture, and should the fetus fully mature, an additional C-section would endanger her ability to carry another child. And after 2023's lackluster season, many are wondering what is next for the NMU football program and how its players and coaching staff will handle the offseason going into the next year. Austin Graham of Public Eye News reflects on how this season will impact the future of Wildcat football. Take a look.
The Northern Michigan University football team season has come to an end. After getting some good players through the transfer portal this offseason, as well as some solid recruits, NMU was poised for a solid season. Instead, the team went 0-11 and at one point in the year gave up back-to-back 70-plus point games. Through this disastrous season, there were some bright spots, such as all GLIAC second-team tight end Charlie Gayhard and GLIAC honorable mentions Jax Hurdle, Kyle Scharr, and Mitch Larkin. We talked to junior defensive end Jason Coulter about how he would describe this past season's team.
Developmental. I would say we have a very young team, and we're making strides to pretty much keep going in a positive direction.
Although the team didn't have the season they were looking for, they're hoping their underclassmen can learn from this past season and be better in the years to come.
Take all of the coaching literal and soak it all in. And then along with that is use our staff as a way to develop.
It will take a lot of hard work to bounce back from this season, but the team is ready and willing to do whatever it takes to get back in the win column next year. Reporting out of Marquette for Public Eye News, I'm Austin Graham.
We'll be right back after this short break. Stay tuned.
The PBS NewsHour, putting questions to those in power.
We're in the fourth wave. There aren't enough tests. Is it time for a new approach?
Providing insight into big issues.
The speech in many ways sets the foundation for Democrats as they renew their push for voting rights.
Focusing on underreported issues.
What are these girls missing while their mothers are in prison that you're trying to help them get?
Weeknights on your PBS station and online.
Monday through Friday at 7 p.m.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Austin Graham, and this is Public Eye Sports. The NMU men's basketball team is set to open conference play this weekend when they host the Wayne State Warriors tonight at 7 and the Saginaw Valley State Cardinals on Saturday at 1 p.m. The Cats are coming off a 86-61 victory over the Viterbo V-Hawks, which saw its sophomore Dylan Kuhl lead the way with 20 points. Junior Brian Parzik had 9 assists, and junior Sam Schultz recorded 8 rebounds. The Wildcats as a team are averaging 84.9 points per game, the third most in the GLIAC. Both Wayne State and Saginaw Valley enter their respective games with a 4-2 record, and both squads are currently on a 4-game win streak. The Warriors have allowed their opponents to score more than 70 points, while the Cardinals have held their opponents to under 70 points per game. Keeping it on the hardwood, the NMU women's basketball team is also set to open conference play when they host Wayne State tonight and Saginaw Valley State this weekend. The Cats are coming off back-to-back losses to St. Cloud State and Minnesota Duluth, in which they lost 66-56 and 63-42, respectively. The squad currently leads the GLIAC in fewest turnovers per game with 12.3 and are second for free throw percentage with 77.2. Their matchup with the Warriors tonight shows to be a tough task as Wayne State enters the game on a 6-game winning streak. The Warriors are no stranger to playing on the road as they currently boast a 3-1 record and defeated Northern on the road last year when the two teams split the season series. Tip-off is set for 5:30 at the Peef Gym. Bouncing it over to the NBA, the Detroit Pistons will head south tomorrow to take on the Orlando Magic. The Pistons are looking to snap their 18-game losing streak, while the Magic are looking to avenge their loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday. Detroit currently sits at last place in the Eastern Conference, while Orlando is in third place, with the Pistons averaging 107.8 per game, while the Magic are averaging 120.5 points per game. It should also be noted that Orlando has won 8 of their last 10 games, while Detroit has won 0 of their last 10, and they're on pace to setting an NBA record for longest losing streak in league history. Tip-off is set for Friday night at 7. That's all I have for sports. Back to the news desk.
Thank you so much for that sports update, Austin. Are you a fan of the Pistons? Because if so, I am sorry.
It sounds like a rough season, but I thankfully don't really pay attention to basketball.
Okay. Well, I hear you have a slightly more heartwarming story for us.
I do. I have one more story. A northern sea otter pup, EL2306, arrived at Chicago's Shedd Aquarium from Alaska, where he was discovered malnourished. Shedd, equipped for otter care, received the pup from the Alaska Sea Life Center. Acting as a surrogate, Shedd's team facilitates the pup's grooming and development. The transition from formula to solid foods, including sustainably sourced clams, is part of the pup's growth process, and the aquarium does not plan to release the pup, as the federal government considers them to be non-releasable once they are accustomed to being around people.
And that is all the time that we have for you today on Public Eye News. I'm Marin Parks.
And I'm Melissa Santour, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.